Alright, so first you set the Instapot on saute function. Mine just says hot when it's heated enough. I think yours has those bars. I think it will go to the cooking function. And then you put some oil, maybe a couple of tablespoons of oil, and start with onion. So I'm using about a cup of onion for what's like maybe I've soaked some beans that are 3/4 cup dry beans. I soak for 8 hours. But if you're using canned beans, then this is probably worth 2 cans of 15-ounce cans of beans. So you saute the onion until it turns translucent, and then it will brown a little bit. I also, when it is sauteing, I also add some salt to it, because that helps it sweat and release moisture, so it makes it cook a little faster. So just tiny bit of salt. You don't have to put too much at this point, and just keep moving it around a little. You can even set the setting to extra hot, like for this. Otherwise, it takes a little bit longer. But either. So I might add a little more oil. You can make it with less oil too. I also add some Asafetida, but you can skip it if you don't have it. This you can buy in Indian store. So just tiny bit, like a pinch of Asafetida. Alright, so I stirred this for about like 3 to 5 minutes. I use both the red and yellow onion, but you can just use the yellow onion. The red onion kind of turns like pinkish. The yellow onion turns a little darker. And then at this point, I added some ginger. You can just chop it. I didn't have ginger, so I'm using ginger paste. Just about a half a teaspoon, maybe. You can adjust it to taste. And then you add garlic. I like lots of garlic, so in this case I'm adding about maybe 1.5 to 2 tablespoons of garlic. You could also use more onion if you like gravy. Basically more sauce. So if you like more sauce, you can use a little more onion. Adds more flavor to it, and then make sure the garlic doesn't stick too much. So you definitely want to stir this quickly. I also add just a tiny bit of water because I don't want to add too much oil, so I just add water, and the steam will help cook up the raw smell of the garlic at this point. And then once you mix it up, about 30 seconds to a minute, then you add the turmeric and the masala. Give you, so I am just putting like 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric here, and then about this one. So I will probably put like a teaspoon. Again, you can adjust how much spice you want. You can adjust based on that. So start trying this out with less, and just stir it real quick. Don't want to let it burn. I am over here again. Put just a tiny bit of water at this point. And then I like to use a tomato paste in a tube. Maybe about a tablespoon or two. The more tomato paste you use, the more sour it will be. But you can also use tomatoes, but then they take a long time to cook. So I just shortcut it by using tomato paste at this point. And heat it up with just a tiny bit. You smell burning, just a little tiny bit of water. I'm surprised Uncle Andy is not coughing.
Only my breath.
So I might actually use a little more masala because I have a lot of beans here. So it should look like this paste of onion, tomato, garlic, ginger.
If you're coughing at this point, that's normal. This is the part of the recipe where she usually gasses me out of the room.
Good. So at this point, just let it cook a little longer. And then, like I said, I had soaked the beans. With soaked, you can try a variety of beans. You have many more choices than for canned beans. So, and if you're using soaked beans, you use the pressure cooker after mixing it up. If you're using canned beans, don't pressure cook them afterwards because they're already cooked. You just need to keep cooking them in the saute mode for long enough for it to absorb all the flavors. So, gonna mix it up. And you can do this even with chicken. So you can chop up chicken into pieces and use this with chicken. With chicken, instead of using just water.
The chicken pre-cooked or just raw?
Raw. Raw chicken. And you use a pressure cooker for chicken. So yeah, with the beans I just use water. You can use vegetable stock if you prefer. But I just use enough water to not make it too liquidy, but have enough sauce. And I think in this case, I don't know, I might have used like a total of, I mean the beans do enlarge a little when you pressure cook them, but I at least want them to submerge under the water at this point. And you can always add more liquid later, just use enough liquid to cook. So here, some more salt because these were soaked beans. I did not put salt first, so some more salt in here. And I'm using kosher salt, so I just put maybe, I don't know, half a tablespoon to 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon might be too much. I think maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons.
If you were using regular salt, how much would you use?
I don't know. I would probably do maybe maybe half a teaspoon. I think I use 1 to 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, but the table salt I would use half a teaspoon table salt. But again, this is, like I said, 3/4 of dried beans that I soaked for 8 hours. So at this point, you just turn this off.
That's a good amount of salt to use for the quantity of beans.
And then
are you making
pressure
chili
cook.
or another bean dish?
And so at this point, I set it to pressure cook, manual. These are smaller beans, and they will cook. They'll cook in 10 minutes. I can cook them more later, and make sure to put it on pressure. Otherwise, steam. If you so mine just has venting and sealing, so I put it on seal. I think yours, just make sure you're putting on in the pressure cooker mode and not in the steam mode, because otherwise everything will evaporate and the stuff will burn in it. So this is gonna heat up, and then it's gonna go for 10 minutes, and then we'll be back then. So the onion I used was finely chopped, so this is how I typically do it. I think you probably are chopping onions anyway. Make sure your knife is sharp enough. I could use some sharpening. So thinly slice radially, and then on a dull knife. All right, and then just gonna chop even if you don't get it super thin, that's fine. The pressure cooker will cook it out, but it's a good idea to just finely chop. And then the same thing with garlic and ginger. Otherwise, you can make a garlic ginger paste. I generally make garlic ginger paste, but because I make Indian food frequently, I do it by weight. It's like 4:1 ratio by weight, garlic to ginger, and then you have to add plenty of water to it as well. I can send you the ratio if you want, but you can just simply chop garlic and use chopped garlic and ginger. Ginger can get very spicy sometimes, so be careful with how much you use. All right. So right now, so I have it on high pressure and for 10 minutes, and right now the seal is trying to lift up, so it actually seals. So make sure to watch for it to for a little bit, that it actually seals, and that's after it seals, that's when the 10 minutes start on the clock on the InstaPot. So when it's sealed, this should pop up completely and steam should stop coming out. So the 10 minutes is done. So it's done pressure cooking, but the seal is still up. I let my beans go through natural release, so I wait until this drops down. So I just wait at this point for beans.
And it did beeping when you were...
It did beeping. I don't know if his beeps. It probably does.
Okay.
So.
Ours beeps.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking of telling you is different kinds of beans have different cooking time. So when you buy your beans and you do decide to go through the soaking thing, it's much cheaper to buy dry beans than canned beans. So it's very, very cost effective. So I would, and it soaks up much more flavor when you do that. So I would highly, highly recommend it. So make sure you know the name of the bean, and you can search on the internet how long to pressure cook those beans in the Instant Pot. So the seal is down. It took like 15 minutes to go down, but even then I kind of turn this, make sure it's all fully vented, turn this, and then open it.
There will be a big puff of steam you need to dodge when you open that.
Yeah. And then I go back to saute. Oh, you have to cancel, and I'll go back to saute mode. And at this point, I guess I could have cooked this longer, but I'm just going to cook them longer here in saute mode. And pour a little more water. You can also use coconut milk if you want. So make sure the beans are cooked. So a good test is just you can just press it between your fingers. They shouldn't look raw. So you can see like they're pasty and not raw. So the bean is cooked. It's just that I'm cooking it some more so they release the starch to thicken the sauce. If you don't have time, you don't have to do this step, but I also taste for salt. Tiger wants to make these beans, so he's howling in the background. And you want to add a little more salt. Spicy. So definitely don't put as much masala as I did. So while it does that, I'm actually going to add some spinach to it just to increase how much vegetable we eat. And spinach will wilt in this, so I'm just going to put all the spinach. And then you can, if you like cilantro, you can chop some cilantro, but Uncle Andy doesn't like cilantro, so I'm going to chop some parsley and just flavor, some additional flavor. Cilantro tastes the best. So you can save it to the end. You don't have to add it right away. You can save that to the end. If it's done, it will just cook with the warmth of the sauce. Alright, we can pause now. So I just stirred it a bit more to let the spinach mix up with the sauce here, and just now it's wilted, still cooking. I check how thick the sauce is. So, and when you stir it, it also releases starches from the beans to help it thicken. So, yeah. And if you're using chicken, definitely use coconut milk. There are other thickeners you can make yourself with like onion paste and stuff, but that's a separate video. So for now, just let it go for a little longer. I keep adding. If you want to add some more water, you can keep adding water too. That's just to make sure that stuff doesn't stick at the bottom. So I just trying to create enough sauce. And then at this point you can add the cilantro.
Or parsley.
Or parsley. I still think it's not as thick, so I'm going to let it go a bit longer. Alright. You can even lower the temperature if you want, so just stop and then do just adjust and lower, so it's not boiling water but more simmering rather than boiling. Alright, so that's that. I was going to make the other thing also. So this is pretty much done. Again, thicken it as much as you want, but I think you just want to let it go for a couple more minutes, but it's done. Leave it in here, it will thicken anyway. So stop. Alright, so this is the beans we made. They've gotten thicker as they sat, and at this point, if you like cilantro, you can add more fresh cilantro to the dish.